Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Abarisa Subui to all our brothers and sisters. Inakwana to our brothers and sisters. Ona Dumelan to Bela. So Saubonani to everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. To all our brothers, our African brothers and sisters throughout the world, I greet you with the different names. Bonjour. If you are from France, I say bonjour, bonjour to everybody. So good morning to you. If it's afternoon in your side, good afternoon. I greet everybody. I'm welcoming you live to our program today that is on the African Portal Radio TV. Pretoria, South Africa. I welcome you all. This is your radio presenter, Africa.
Gbogbo kìràkìtà ayé ló máa gbé. Mo lè sọ̀sán dòru, mo lè sòru dọ̀sán. Ilé ayé ló mọ̀, àrọ̀ nìkan rájí ìdẹ̀rù alágbára ayé. Ilé ayé yìí ló mọ̀, ò bá rọra ṣe. Gbogbo kìràkìtà ayé ló máa gbé o. Mo lè sọ̀sán dòru, mo lè sòru dọ̀sán. Ilé ayé ló mọ̀, àrọ̀ nìkan rájí ìdẹ̀rù alágbára ayé. Ilé ayé yìí ló mọ̀, ò bá rọra ṣe. Gbogbo ohun tó ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ló lópin o. Ara mi o, ẹ rọra ṣe. Gbogbo ohun tó ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ló lópin o. Ara mi o, ẹ rọra ṣe. Ìgbà máa ní gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́tí gbọ́. Ara mi o, ẹ ṣe pẹ̀lẹ́ o. Torí pé bọ́ni ti rí ọ̀la lè máa rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ara mi o, ẹ rọra ṣe.
So welcome back. So we welcome you back. So we are still waiting for our guest to come online back so that we can start the program fully. So, but before she comes, so we need to discuss what are we going to talk about today. That is the impact of African women in Africa. The impact, that is impact of African women in Africa. That is the topic for today. So we'll be having our guest all the way from United States of America. So she's residing there, but she's an African woman. She's from Kenya. So we'll be having discussion with her. So this, my sister we're talking about, she's a Pan-Africanist. She's a singer. She's a talented woman. She's an activist and many more. So we'll still discuss about her as time goes on. So the person we want to invite to our program for today, so her name remains RISTER. So that's her name, RISTER BOSIBORI RATEMO. That's the name of our guest for today, aka RISTER Blessed Mom. So that's the name, RISTER BOSIBORI RATEMO. RISTER, aka RISTER Blessed Mom. So she's a Kenyan woman staying in the United States of America. So let's just know briefly about who is Miss RISTER Ratemo. RISTER is an economist, a former banker at Equity Bank Limited Company, Kenya. She's also worked with Britain Insurance as a financial advisor and One Acre Fund as a monitoring and evaluation manager. She's an actress with an upcoming movie called, she will mention that one to us later. We don't want to talk much on that for now. So, also, she's a woman activist and Pan-Africanist, championing for United Africa. Rista is a loving mother of two amazing boys, namely Trevor and Dexter. She has a passion for music, writes and sings gospel, inspirational music, giving back to the society and specifically works with street children and struggle mother. She's a guardian to 100 street children living in the street of Kisii town in Kenya. A native of Kenya, she's a motivational speaker and a life coach. Rista lives in New Jersey, United States of America. Now I'm using this media to welcome our guest, who you will be hearing her voice. We may not be able to bring her live on the studio now, but for now, we'll be hearing her voice directly from New Jersey, USA. Welcome live and direct to the African Portal Radio TV, South Africa. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Are you?
I'm fine. I thank God. I'm so sorry. I don't know what
Yeah,
Kenya, I was
it
not
might be
able to.
network. Yeah, it's okay. Everything is okay here too. So,
Yeah.
so you're welcome to our program, the African Portal Radio TV, Pretoria, South
Thank you.
Africa. You're welcome. Now, today we are going to be having you to discuss about very important issue. All since I started my program on the African Portal Radio, we have been discussing about the issues bordering Africa. I've been bringing a lot of people to my
Yes.
program, academics, activists, and lots more of the people I've been bringing to my program. So I just thought it that no, we can't only be bringing men to our program. Let's look for a woman, a strong woman, a real African woman who is up to the task that can help us to discuss issues bothering us in Africa. Not only African
Yes.
men, but the issue bothering women in Africa. That is why I could be
Yes.
able to get in touch with you. Then I want you to do justice to the topic we want to discuss today. So the topic is
Yes.
impact of women, African women in Africa. Impact
Okay.
of African women in Africa. So I'm
All right.
welcoming you once more. Good morning. I think you are in the morning your side, but here we are in afternoon. So welcome to our program. Can you please
Thank
introduce
you.
can you please introduce yourself to us? I've told much about you. Now we have to
Yeah.
hear from the horse's mouth. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Africa. My name is RATEMO. I am also known as RISTER Blessed Mom. I am a mother of 2 biological boys. I have adopted 1 daughter, and I have 100 street children that call me mommy. They are street kids, but every child deserves a mother's love. So I decided to just offer myself as a mother to them. So I normally do occasional feeding and taking them to church and clothing them once in a while. But it's been like 6 years since I started doing that. Yeah, so yeah, that's the I'm a gospel artist. I write music, I sing. I'm a diehard lover of Africa.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Can you just brief us about your educational background and what you do?
All right. So I started my primary level at in Kenya at a school called Erongebody Mixed and Seventh Day Mixed Adventist School, and then I proceeded to the Kenya High School, former European girls, and then I advanced to the University of Nairobi. I pursued a degree in economics and communication.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So, as you said, you are an African woman. So why did you leave Kenya to US?
Yes, I am.
Why did you leave Kenya to US?
So, okay, so I love traveling. Before I came to to USA, I had traveled to Italy. I really wanted to go out here and see what makes these other people develop and ahead of us. And before I left Kenya, I was actually in depression because of my own personal issues.
Okay.
So I had researched online on the best people. Like I had always wanted to be a motivational speaker. I had always wanted to be a change maker since I was 12 years old. And so I was just researching like what makes the best people the best. So I was looking at stories of people like Les Brown, who's the best motivational speaker in the world.
Okay.
Oprah Winfrey, who's the richest woman in the world, black woman in the world. And I studied their stories and I was so inspired. And so I said I wanted to come to America so that I can meet them.
Okay.
I was not able to meet all of them, but I've been able to meet Les Brown. I was able to meet my mentor. He's a white man. He's called Hal Errol. and he has this amazing program called the Miracle Morning.
Okay.
And I used to do that Miracle Morning in Kenya, and then I became part of the Facebook group. And eventually they invited me to come to America, because after doing that Miracle Morning, my life was able to be transformed. I got out of depression and all that stuff. And so I became one of the motivational speakers. I used to do motivational talking in colleges and schools in my country in Kenya. And so they were inspired by my transformation. And they were working on a movie on how the Miracle Morning has transformed people's lives. And they chose me to come and represent Africa in that movie.
Okay, that is nice. So thank you for giving us the detail about that. Now, as you said earlier on, as a motivational speaker, so you left Kenya to US. So getting there, you met. Have you met some African motivational speakers in US?
Yes, but not one-on-one. I met some motivational speakers in Africa before I came, like someone known as Pepe Minambo. But the ones that I've met in America, mostly the Black Americans and whites. I met Les Brown, I met Ruben West, I met Hal Erold, and there's another guy called Ivan Kamiko. He's from Canada. So yeah.
All right, that's nice. I'm happy to hear that. Are you happy to be an African woman?
Very. Yes, I'm very happy.
Why are you happy to be an African woman? Because the way people think about African women, they thought of them like slaves. What do you think about that mentality?
You know, me, since I was growing up, I was very inquisitive about our past, about our history. I've been blessed to have, even right now, as we're speaking, I still have both of my grandmothers alive, from my dad's side and from my mother's side.
Wow.
And I'm one of their favorite grandchildren. I'm very close with them. I love them. They love me. And so I've always wanted to know our past, like what happened before slavery, what happened before we were colonized, and all that stuff. So I know our history, and because of the rich history and how we used to do things, I love just being African.
That's nice. That's nice to hear that. Now, I'm happy that you are happy to be an African woman. Now, let's go to the main point. What do you feel about the women in the past years? I mean, the yesteryears of the women compared to the nowadays women in Africa. What is your own perspective about that?
I believe that some of the things that we did as African people were a little bit demeaning to women, but not everything. Because as African people, we believe that a man has his role to play in society, and a woman has his role. We can never be equal. We can never play each other's role.
Okay.
So with the coming of Christianity and Islam, our culture was seen to be as though it is demonic. You know, our culture is not good and all those things.
Okay.
But I believe that everything that we did as African people, as women, we were nurturers. You know, we promoted polygamy because we as Africans did not want women to be by themselves, because they needed that protection of a man figure for the children, for herself as well. So I believe that some of these other things came in, but they did not really do us a lot of justice, you know.
Okay.
They kind of took away that fabric of holding together the African family.
Okay.
Yeah, so I believe that we can still integrate some of the things we learned from the modern, but still it is not wrong for us to keep practicing what our ancestors practiced.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if that should be the case, so are you justifying it that, okay, the yesteryears, I mean, the women of Africa of yesteryears, I mean, century ago, so can we say they are better than the women of today?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, they are better. So how do we bridge the gap now? Because you see, when we want to have our African as a continent, the way we want, the Africa we really want, and we really want. So if we really want that, it means we need to do something the way we want it, the way our women, I mean our mothers, our great grandmothers, the way they did it during their time. It means we must do it this time around if we really want the true African woman. Now, if that should be the case, if you mean okay, nowadays we must the ladies of today, the girls of today, the women of today, the wives of today, they must go back to the root.
Yes.
They must go back to the root and behave and do what we forgot to do. That was the past.
Yes.
What our parents, our grandmothers, our wives, those of our wives' fathers, what they did in the olden days, which is still okay in our culture. It means they must go back to it. Then that is when we can be saying, oh, this is a truly African woman. Am I right with that?
Yes, we have a phrase in Swahili that says mwachamila ni mtumwa. Like whoever abandons their culture automatically becomes a slave. And the only reason as to why we find ourselves where we are right now is because we demeaned our cultures. We started thinking that our cultures are, more or lesser than the other cultures. Okay, one of the things that really existed before we were colonized is that Africa was one thing, and the regions that exist were created by the colonizers as they were dividing the raw materials that are found in Africa.
Okay.
So we were one, and we never saw any other culture as being superior to the other one. We are different, we practice different things, but we valued and we appreciated each other's difference. And with our difference, we saw it as a similarity.
Okay.
But with the coming of the westernization, then we started to uphold the white man culture as though it is superior than our own culture. But this has led us to be on the lower side. But if we go back to our roots, appreciate what we did, then we can be able to free ourselves from the slave mentality.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now the next one is that, do you think that African girls are treated well in Africa? Do you think?
At the moment, I don't think they are because, we all started getting into this uncalled for war of women empowerment and all that stuff. But if we approach it from how our ancestors did, like a woman has her place, a man has her place, then we can all work together. But because as we were getting colonized, the thing that was very, very successful and is even very successful until now is divide and rule. So when you divide this man and this woman and you tell them, oh, this one is fighting you and this other one is fighting you, then we have these wars between ourselves that are not even supposed to exist. So if we appreciate that as a man, these are your roles, as a woman, these are your roles, and then together we work together to raise our families, our children together, then that can work. But the division is now what causes us to lose the path that we are supposed to walk in. So I believe that we can work together in unity. We don't have to lower the woman or we don't have to upgrade the man, but we all have our roles that we play to uplift the African family together.
Okay, that's nice. Now I can see the way you dress. It made me to remember something in Africa. That is our culture.
Yeah.
And our culture in Africa is very important to our life. Without culture, there's no life in Africa. To me personally.
Yeah.
So we all believe that. Now let's go to this issue of African culture and Western culture.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Any difference?
Yes, there's a very big difference because how our ancestors or our foremothers and forefathers dressed signified maybe if it's a married woman, you would just see look at her from a distance and know, oh, this woman is married. How then you will give her the respect of a married woman. If you would look at her, you say, oh, this is a virgin girl or whatever, and in our cultures, virginity was something that was really highly valued, which has been taken away by the modernization of our people. So yes, I try to dress the African way even when I'm in America. I tried to maintain my speaking. I didn't want to start twisting, the twanging.
Okay.
I wanted to just remain myself. And when I came to America, I was trying to learn as much as I could to be able to see what is it that make these people different than us. So I was trying as much as possible not to be assimilated into the culture and forget myself, but learn from it and guard my own roots so that I don't forget myself in the process. Yeah, so our culture is very, very, it's very rich, and we had a reason as to why we dressed the way we dressed. We had a reason as to why we spoke the way we spoke. We had a reason as to why we did something like FGM. There's so many women who campaign against FGM that I have my reservations for, because FGM was practiced for a reason.
Okay.
So when we started these wars about women empowerment and everything, we never replaced it, because what was happening is that as much as the ladies were being taken through the FGM, there was something else that was happening in the process. And that something else was these women being told, oh, now you are growing. These are the things that are going to be happening to your body. You will start liking men naturally. And when you do this is going to happen to you. But as we were starting now to campaign against FGM, we forget these other aspects that was nurturing these girls into womanhood. And so now our girls become women or they become wives without really knowing that transition. So if we were campaigning against FGM, the procedure, then we would have continued with the process of nurturing our girls. But now with our mothers or our women no longer teach the girls what happens between transitioning from teenage to womanhood, and that's where we have a very big problem.
Okay, can you say something about this education, Western education and African education? Before the advent of the Westerners into Africa, so we had a way of educating our kids about African culture. So can you say something is getting lost in our educational system in Africa, or what? Or what do you think about that? You see, compared to Western education, can we still maintain that? Or we still focus, or how do you think that the African education should be?
Unfortunately, we never really documented our education, because we always trusted that the mothers will teach their daughters and the grandmothers will teach.
That is informal education.
Because of the interference of the Western, there was a break. But it's so amazing that when I came to America, I was so surprised that they don't even follow the education that they gave to us. We are still following their own old way of doing things, but theirs is already reformed. At 16 years old, a child in America is already driving their own car. At 16 years, they don't spend all their time going to college. They actually work part-time and they go to school part-time. Unfortunately, in Africa, you'll be concentrating just in education. You're not making money for yourself. You're not running any skills. By the time you graduate at maybe 35, you go to look for a job. They tell you they need a 5 years experience, and 5 years you've been in school. So the system here is really totally different. There are not many boarding schools. Most of the kids here, they start working from 16 years. They have driving lessons in high school as part of their examinations. Like by the time you're graduating high school, you have your driving license with you. So when you're going to college, you're going to work part-time and go to school part-time. So we need leaders who are going to actually amend our education system, because it's a very backward way of doing things. And again, you know, we are very energetic and very able to take risks between 16 years and 35 years. So the way we are doing things right now in Africa, we are wasting a lot of our youth energy doing nothing, you know? Yeah, so.
Okay. So now let's check another thing. You see that in Africa, so I'm still on the issue of Western culture and African culture. So we are still, you know, we discuss about education, we discuss about other things. Now let's go to language. Let's go to the language now. You see that you were discussing, you were saying something related to language the other time. That, okay, you don't want to be twisting your voice and the likes in order to suit the environment you belong to over there. So what is your own advice concerning the language, African language, compared to Western languages?
Actually, let me talk about my country, Kenya.
Yeah.
Kenya has one of the most people with the highest IQ. Reason being, when you know to speak, to write, to sing, to do so many things with more than one language, your IQ goes up high.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, some of us want to teach our kids just English or just whatever.
French.
Thinking, okay, maybe just French, thinking that if our kids speak only English or only French, then they look more modernized. But we are losing because the IQ of that child who doesn't know their mother tongue is lower than the child who understands both English. Like in Kenya, most children, they will understand English, Swahili, and maybe like my own is Kisii. So 3 languages.
Yeah.
They can speak, they can write, they can sing, they can do in 3 languages. So it doesn't do any harm for you to teach your own child to speak your own language at home, because obviously when they go to school, they will learn the other language at school. Also, maybe at home you can decide that on weekends we will speak mother tongue, on these other weekdays we will speak other language. It has to take a responsibility of parents to be able to teach their own kids, you know? So it is also the other people that I have not said that they don't like to depart from their cultures, the Nigerian people. They also like to teach their children their mother tongue, their culture, the way things are done, their own way, their dressing. Yeah. And when you come to America and look at the most successful people that have come out of the other countries, you will find that Nigeria is one of the people on top of the list because they refuse to denounce their culture. So there's something about being prosperous and also holding on to your culture. There's also something, a quote that says, if you speak to a person with a foreign language, they will hear you from their ears. But if you speak to a person with their own mother tongue, they will hear you from their soul.
That's the fact.
So that's a totally different thing. Yeah. So it's good for us to teach our children. And again, our grandmothers are now getting old. And sometimes they want to speak a blessing to our children. But now your mother, your grandmother or your mother is speaking in your mother tongue.
Yeah.
They cannot even communicate to that child. They don't have any relationship because they cannot exchange anything. So she will just die with the blessings because she cannot be able to utter them to your child. But if that child knew even to speak greetings to the grandmother or to your mother in her own mother tongue, then she will speak to the soul of that mother or grandmother. then that mother will be excited and she will utter out the blessing to your child. So most of our children are missing out on the blessings because we have refused to teach them the language of the soul. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, okay, I understand you. It means when you're talking about our language, we must value our language. According to your research, any knowledge being taught with mother tongue, I mean the first language being understood by a child. So any child that is being taught with his mother tongue, we understand different languages compared to somebody who is being taught with the second language. I mean the foreign language. So that is according to your research. So this shows to us that we must try to maintain our mother tongue. We may learn other languages. If we could be able to understand our indigenous languages very well, we'll be able to understand any foreign languages. That is our understanding about the research related to language. Now let's go to our food. You know, I'm taking it one by one to understand the perspective between the Western culture and African culture. So we have discussed about dressing and the likes, languages, education. Now let's come to our food. You will see that some of the African girls, they don't know how to cook. Sorry to say this. Why?
Well, it's because nowadays we call this a generation of the microwave. You know, the way you just put food in the microwave within 2-3 minutes, it's already hot. But if you take it out and leave it for 2-3 minutes, again, it's gonna get cool. So first, the way if you get something quick, it goes quick again. So the thing is this, that because we were introduced to this system of getting things quick, so most of our girls feel that this quick way of getting things is easier. Nobody wants to work hard for it. But if you work hard for it, it's gonna stay with you and you're gonna even pass it down to your kids. Others have made businesses out of maybe learning how to bake a certain donut or something. Then that's how you pass it down to your kids and you can even make money out of it. But if you just want to take the shortcut, there's a quote also that says that you are what you eat. Our ancestors lived very long years, very many years, because of what they ate. Even when we look at the Bible, it says that when God created the plants, He gave plants as food, also gave plants as medicine. So that was the original plan of God. Then later we see, after the Israelites walk away from the plan of God and they insisted that they want to eat meat, then grudgingly God just decided to give them meat, but it was not His plan. But again, even after He allowed them to eat meat, there are some specific meat in the Bible, in the book of Leviticus, that says, oh, you should not eat pork, you should not eat this, because these things also have life. Animals have a soul too. So when you're eating that meat from the animal, you kind of take some characteristic from that animal. You kind of partake in the way that animal was crying and the blood spilling when it was being slaughtered. It's kind of painful, to the creator. So when you eat that meat and you indirectly you've killed a soul, and murder is wrong. So these are the things that come to affect us later. But when you eat food from a plant, after it rains, it again grows back, and it doesn't affect anything. So if we eat herbs and just the normal things, it doesn't have a lot of negative effect on our bodies. That's why nowadays in the market we have this quick food. Sometimes we hear it's made of plastic, but we are not even able to tell because now we are used to just quick fixes of eating. But if we eat right, then of course it also reflects on our health, even on our long, like if you live long or short. Yeah.
All right. Now, so before we go further on that, you see, in Africa, we have delicacies, different kind of food we cherish in Africa that makes us to be strong and healthy. You know, people have neglected all those foods. Like in my country now, like Nigeria I come from, we have what is called eba. We have what is called fufu, inyo, amala. Hausa, they have tuwo, chinkafa, Igbo, they have apu, and the like different varieties of food. We have nunu. So that one is extracted from the cow milk. All these, they are African food. But in your place, so can you mention most of the African food in Kenya that you know about?
We have matoke.
Okay.
We have matoke. We have ugali, that is corn flour.
Okay.
We have vegetables. Most of them are kind of herbalic. They're like herbs.
Okay.
We have something we call chinsaga, rinagu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have them over there? Do you, since you have gotten to USA, I mean, New Jersey precisely, have you ever taken any one of those food there?
Yes, we have actually many of the Nigerian people here. They do a lot of shipping. They take a lot of stuff from America and send it to Nigeria, and then they get the indigenous Nigerian stuff and bring it over here. So we have a lot of Nigerian restaurants around. And then what the Kenyans do, actually, we have small farms, even like at the backyard or whatever. We actually do farming over here.
Yeah.
So we have grown those our indigenous foods over here.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think African youth, especially women, are ready for a change in Africa?
No, they are not ready because they still think that the white man culture is the superior, and they always want to identify with that. But some of us who have traveled, I've traveled to Italy, I've traveled almost to over 50 states in the US. I have come to conclude that Africa has the perfect weather, perfect food. Like, personally, if I was given Western culture and African culture, I would still choose African culture.
Okay, that's nice. As a woman who loves Africa, what would be your dream of an ideal African community in the next 10 years? Your ideal of African community. How do you feel Africa in the next 10 years?
Yes. Now, let me give an example of cotton. Cotton is not grown anywhere in America. But in America, a girl will never miss to have a pad for her periods. Actually, even the diapers for kids, they're given for sometimes free from the government.
Okay.
But if you go to Africa, Africa is the one that grows the cotton.
Okay.
But our girls will lack the pads. Our girls will lack. Our babies will not even know diaper until they grow and become big. Maybe they will find them in the shopping store after they grow up.
All right.
So the problem is that for a very long time, Africa has remained to produce raw material for other people to enjoy.
Okay.
In my hope and in my wish, in the next 10 years, if Africans can be able to come together and the governments to empower people to be owners, we have grown to be trained how to be good employees, how to bow down, how to respect your master and everything. What about if we start teaching our children how to be the owners of those companies? Even when you go to the companies that are operating in Africa, most of them are owned by outsiders, and we are employees in those companies. And you know, when they come there, they are called investors. They are given tax relief. They are given so many incentives from the government. What if the government can also start to consider us and give us those contracts also to supply things, also empower us to own such companies and to be able to process and to produce what we need to consume, because we understand we are the ones who consume whatever we are buying. So we are the ones who understand what we need. What if they give us also the capacity building to be able to own some of these things so that we can be able to produce the best, because we also we are the ones who consume them. We need them. So you find that we produce cheap labor to these people, then they make all these products and they send them outside. When they get outside, they add value, then they brought back to Africa with very high prices.
Exactly.
So we also need to start learning how to be owners. That's why there's a difference between someone who's called a landlord and a tenant. Because most of the things in the world are owned by white people, whether in Africa or in America or wherever. So that's why they are called lords. You know, for someone to be lord, if you separate land and lord, for someone to be lord is like you have to bow down to them, you have to do this and that. So we'll forever continue bowing down to those who own the resources. And yet, as we are just the people who are working for them. So we also have to be supported by our governments. If our governments cannot support us, maybe we look for how we can unite together as youths or as women groups to be able to do these things on ourselves. Because sometimes at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the government is doing. If we decide that we want to unite at the village level and start feeding our own self, the government will not stop you. But we are just there thinking that we can't help ourselves. But if you do the right thing, follow the law and do the right thing, nobody will stop you from doing it. But we are all scared and we are thinking, oh, we need this stranger to come and help us. And yet we have everything that we need at our disposal. We can actually put ourselves together. I remember when I was growing up, we used to have these groups of women who would go to one farm, till and help this one woman, then the next week they will go to that other woman, and work becomes easier that way. But nowadays we have grown into this Western culture of everybody for themselves. But in our African culture, we were used to being social, being together. We believe that when work is done, many hands make work easier, and that's how we always approached our problems.
That's nice. Thank you very much for that. Now you say you are trying to help us to go through a lot of things that we have been discussing. That in the next 10 years, we Africans, we must be able to be our business owners. We must be able to maintain our culture. We must be able to do our things by ourselves. We don't need, the creator was created in Africa, then the solution must come from where? Africa. We don't need to look for somebody elsewhere to solve the problem that they know nothing about. So every problem that happened in Africa was being created by us. Then we must find the solution by ourselves to solve the problem. So in the next 10 years, I think Africa will still be great again. So let's talk about the Africa women in diaspora. Like you're one of them in there. You're one of the African women in diaspora. Any African women who live outside our own birth country is African women in diaspora. Now, my question is, do you think African women in diaspora are ready to invest in Africa? Do you think they are ready to come back to Africa and invest? That's my question.
No, they're not.
Why? Why are you saying no? Why are they not ready? This is their homeland, for God's sake. What is happening?
You know, the challenge is that there's a very big disconnect between the people who are back home and the people in diaspora. The people back home believe that money in diaspora is collected from the streets. You don't work hard for it. So the people here, they send money back home to their relatives, and their relatives mismanage the money, knowing that next week or next month I'm going to ask for the same money and I will be given. Because there's a lot of love that the diaspora people have for their people back home because they understand the pain of ever sleeping hungry one day, the pain of missing food, pain of missing school fees. So they try to do their very best. Actually, people in diaspora, they sleep a maximum of maybe 5 hours, but they work almost around the clock. So the problem is that the people in back home, they do not manage the money well. So these people in diaspora, they are scared of giving so much money to people who are not appreciative of the fact that people work so hard to receive this money. And again, some women in diaspora would not want to be associated with African culture. You know, once they get out at the airport, they'll be like, oh, to hell with Africa. So they will be looking for the white man to date or the Indian man to date. They're like, oh, now I'm an international person. So I don't want anything to do with my black people. So we just be like, hi, and that's it. So still, we have a lot of westernization within ourselves. And
are you saying Western mentality? Are you talking about Western mentality that I don't need to date people from Africa, so let me date Indian guy, white guy, or whatever? Maybe should I say should I say government also contribute to this problem? Because I don't know why somebody who was born in Africa doesn't want to come home back and invest. Can we say government doesn't give them platform to do what, to engage or to establish business or whatever, or to have a kind of project in Africa?
The government is a bit to blame, but seriously, on my case, I've come to learn that the government, sometimes these people are just there to fulfill their own ego. And if we start talking about the government, they will never change because, I don't know, unless we have very patriotic leaders. But if we are talking about the kind of leaders that I know right now, they don't really care. Actually, most of them, they want to pass the burden of taking care of the citizens to the NGOs, to non-governmental organizations, and to relatives who are in diaspora. But if we, the people, back at home, we hold these governments responsible, if we refuse handouts, because they go after 5 years or 4 years, they come back, they give you some few monies, and then you're like, oh, let's vote for him again. So this has blinded us from knowing that these people are supposed to be held responsible. So unless we hold these people responsible to stop being corrupt, that one is hard. But I believe that as individuals, we have a part to play first, because governments, we may not even reach them, but as individuals, those people back home need to please use the money they are given from their relatives in diaspora well, and the people in diaspora too need to appreciate where they are coming from, so that you can go back to your village and try to uplift the school you went to, try to even support one child by giving them a scholarship, try even to support talent over there, help some maybe boys play the football they've always wanted to play, just by buying them that ball or uniform, something like that, that can uplift, rather than just giving out cash money that someone will just go and use and finish. But if you do something impactful, you're going to change their lives forever. So we can start as individuals because that's where we can reach. But again, if we can get good leaders for sure who can be able to feel the pain of the people, then I would be happy to see that happen.
As an African woman, you see that in Africa, women face a lot of challenges. Challenges in Africa. So what do you think would be the way, your own advice to get out of those challenges in Africa to women?
By trying, the problem is that most women do not support each other. I would urge my fellow women to support fellow women, such that a few of the bold ones who want to stand for political seats, because even most of the voters are women, that we elect more women, because that woman, when she gets there, she understands what you go through as a mother trying to give birth. She'll understand what you go through as a mother who is breastfeeding and she doesn't have food to eat, and the child needs to feed on your milk. So I can ask my African women to elect more women to political positions so that we can have a lot of representation in government. And also in just within our own villages, we can try to get into women groups, youth groups, raise capital easily, work together. And yeah, together we can be able to do something. I believe that unity of African women and young girls, wherever they are, even the youth, we can be able to move forward.
That's nice. Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Now, as an African woman, if you look at the situation of things in Africa, so what will you say? Okay, what is your own ideal Africa? Now, okay, this is what I want for Africa. This is what I want Africa to be. This is my own stand on Africa. What is your view?
If we could work on our education system, it's seriously one thing. We need to make amendments on the education system, and also on the artificial intelligence. We need to have youth empowered to be able to learn more about IT, information technology, about use of computers and everything, so that we can be able to digest information and be able to practically do things for ourselves, and then also to unite. For me, just even unity within our family setup, even just within husband and wife, we have reached a point in life that even within husband and wife, there's no unity. So we have to start just within ourselves first, appreciating who we are, appreciating our families, supporting Black businesses, supporting our family businesses as we move up the ladder.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Now, before we end our program, because as I'm looking at my time here, it's less than 3 minutes to be used. Now, I just want to ask you about do you have any incoming project, your music career, or whatever?
Yes, I have a movie that I acted in. I came to America, it's been 4 years now.
Okay.
And that movie is coming out this December. We are going to be launching it online. I'm also an inspirational music writer. I write music, I sing. I have a YouTube channel. And there's a group that we have of youth that comprises of youth from Africa, Pacific, and Caribbean.
Okay.
Reason being, after slavery, that's where our children of Africa were taken to. Okay. So since we were one people and we got separated by these things that happened in our history, we are trying to come together to be able to support the Black talent, to be able to support Black businesses, to be able to discuss issues that affect us as youth from all these countries.
Okay. So what's the name of that, your YouTube channel? We were talking about your YouTube channel?
If you go to YouTube, I normally do some teachings. I'm a motivational speaker, so sometimes I do my teachings and then I post them on my YouTube channel. And I also have my music that I've sang there.
Okay, what's the name of that YouTube channel? The name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, my name is RISTER RATEMO, spelled as RISTER. And then RATEMO, RISTER RATEMO.
Okay, so if one searches RISTER RATEMO on YouTube channel, it's gonna bring you live there. We can check on it on YouTube.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that one. So I hope we are going to meet to discuss more of African issues bothering us in Africa. how we can make Africa great once more, how we can be together. We forget about the borders. We be together as one, as we are one continent. Either you come from Kenya, either you are from South Africa, Nigeria, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique. We are to be one. We belong to the same continent, and this is our home. We need to build it. Either we travel to every part of the world, we must come back home and build our continent. This is where we grew from. Then we must make sure it is well with us. Thank you very much. Do you have anything to say before we round it up?
No, I'll just urge people that we can start from ourselves, go to our family, go to the society, and then all the way up. Start from where you are, then walk forward. And unity is the only thing that we have.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate your efforts for coming to our live program on the African Portal Radio TV. I say thank you very much. We really appreciate. I hope by next time, if we call you, will you be able to have chance to talk to us on our program?
I hope so. I don't know what I went wrong today. I'm gonna check and say yes. I hope so. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. This will be the end of our program for today. Till next week, you're going to meet us again. I remain yours, Khumo Afrika. Let's enjoy. Okay, so they're telling me, can you just say your name again before we go on?
Yes, my name is RATEMO, and that's RISTER. Then the second name is RATEMO.
RATEMO.
RISTER.
Okay.
RATEMO. RATEMO.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much, RATEMO, aka what? RISTER Blessed Mom. Thank you for coming on our program. I really appreciate that. Till we meet next week for another episode of this talk show on the African Portal Radio TV. I remain yours, Khumo Afrika. Africa is my focus, and I hope it's your focus too. Till we meet next time, I remain yours. Let's listen to the music before we leave. Bye for now.
Ìgbà máa ní gbogbo wọn láyé ara mi o, ẹ ṣe pẹ̀lẹ́ o, ó ní ti rí ọ̀la lè máa rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Ara mi o, ẹ rọra ṣe. Gbogbo kìràkìtà ayé ló máa gbé. Mo lè sọ̀sán dòru, mo lè tòru dọ̀sán. Ilé ayé ló mọ̀, àrọ̀ nìkan ra jígì dẹrù alágbára ayé. Ilé ayé yìí ló mọ̀ ò bá rọra ṣe. Gbogbo kìràkìtà ayé ló máa gbé o. Mo lè sọ̀sán dòru, mo lè tòru dọ̀sán. Ilé ayé ló mọ̀, àrọ̀ nìkan ra jígì dẹrù alágbára ayé. Ilé ayé yìí ló mọ̀ ò bá rọra ṣe.